10 years of war. The Greeks were fed up with it. They decided to go home. They loaded up into their ships and set back home to Greece. 3 weeks later, Odysseus and his men had still not found. They had no food, nothing. In the distance, they saw an island. They set sail to the island and landed. They walked up the beach, up a hill, and they found a huge cave there. "Let's go in," said Odysseus' men. No, said Odysseus. "This is somebody's property. We can't go in to this cave. But we haven't eaten for 3 weeks. We're hungry. All we've got are these 5 barrels of wine. We need food. Let's go into the cave and find the wine, find the food." "No," said Odysseus. "The last thing you should do is..." And they went into the cave. Inside the cave, at the back of the cave, they found all this food. "Don't eat the food!" Too late. They'd already said, "It's great, Odysseus! No. We don't steal the food, because if we steal the food, we're going to end up in so much..." "It's okay. It's food. We've been at war." At that moment, suddenly, a load of sheep came running into the cave. And the sheep are coming in. The men, "We can eat sheep! Yes!" "No," said it. "The sheep belong to somebody. We're in trouble." And they were in trouble. Suddenly, the cave went dark. In front of the cave was a huge giant of a man. And he was rolling a huge big stone in front of the cave door. And then he shut the cave. Odysseus' men stopped eating. Odysseus turned and looked at the man, the giant. Now, Odysseus wasn't a man to be frightened. He wasn't a man to be scared. He'd just been at war for 10 years. He'd fought with the greatest heroes of our time, men like Achilles. He'd fought against Hector. He wasn't scared. It didn't matter how big this man was. Except when the giant turned, Odysseus realized he was not a man. One big eye in the middle of his forehead. He was a cyclops. "What are you doing in my cave?" asked the cyclops. Well, we've had no food for 3 weeks, and so we came ashore, and we got some barrels of wine, and we were going to swap the barrels of wine, just trade with the barrels of wine, and we were going to trade for some food. "Wine? I do not know what wine is. Why would I want wine? I'm not giving you my food." Well, you see, there's a big problem about that, because I know you don't want to give us any of the food, but these guys, they've already eaten it. "What?" said the Cyclops. "They have already eaten my food?" Yes, said Odysseus. And with that, the Cyclops reached past Odysseus and grabbed one of his men with one hand. And then he reached past Odysseus and grabbed another one of his men with the other hand. And then he stood up and he ate them. Whoa! What are you doing? You're eating my men! I'm going to eat all of your men, Odysseus. Think on that. And with that, the Cyclops went back to the stone, sat down, and fell asleep. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? The Cyclops is going to eat all of us. What are we going to do? What are we going to do, Odysseus? We're going to wait. We're going to wait until he's asleep. And once he's asleep, we'll attack him. Okay. But the Cyclops, which was sat beside the cave door, was obviously asleep. We knew he was asleep because he was snoring. But he never closed his eye. His one eye stared back into the cave. I think he's asleep. He's definitely asleep. We'll sneak up on him. I can't see you. He sleeplooks. Who'd have thought? What are we going to do? I don't know. What we'll do, we'll wait till the morning. Because in the morning, he's going to have to let the sheep go. When the sheep go, we'll escape with him and go. Okay. In the morning, the Cyclops woke up. We know he woke up because he stopped snoring. He stood up. He walked to the back of the cave, grabbed two of Odysseus' men, and again, he ate them. Okay, said Odysseus, now we wait. The Cyclops went to the huge stone in front of the cave, and he moved the huge stone to the side. And then he stood with his legs apart and said, sheep, out. And the sheep ran out, meh, 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 and they ran out between his legs. Odysseus' men said, how do we get out? We can't go out, we can't get between his legs. I don't know, said Odysseus. We'll wait and see what happens. As the last sheep left between the Cyclops' legs, he said, goodbye, stepped back and rolled the huge stone, sealing the cave. What do we do? We wait. We wait 5, 10 minutes. We wait until he's gone. And then we move the stone. They waited the 5, 10 minutes. Odysseus said, come on, let's go. Do you think you could help, please? Because your sister. His men came. Look, we'll put on 3. 1, 2, 3, push. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Are you sure you'll push it? A lever would do this. At the back, where the food was, there was a huge piece of wood, like a tree, holding the shells up. Get the tree. So his men got the tree. They brought it to the front. They put it under the stone. He said, right, we've got it under the stone. We've got a lever. What we'll do is we'll pull the lever. The stone will move. Is everybody ready? We jump on the lever. 1, 2, 3. Ha! It's not moving. We jump. 1, 2, 3. Ha! We need another plan. Sharpen the stick. Make the stick really sharp. So the men took the bit of tree and they cut at the edge and they sharpened the bit of tree like a pencil. They said, how's this going to help? Odysseus said, wait. Leave it there. Eventually, at night, the huge stone rolled away. All of the sheep back in. The cyclops heaved the huge stone back in front of them. Turned round and went, right, who do I eat now? Before you eat, did you say you'd never drunk wine? Again, I don't know what wine is, but I've got a barrel of wine here. I think you should try it. Okay, so Odysseus got one of the big barrels of wine and he brought it up to the cyclops. He said, have you got a cup? You know, you put your cup in, have a drink of wine. The cyclops went, ha! Bang! With his finger, breaking the top of the barrel. And then he picked up the barrel and went, so, what's this stuff wine? Because it tastes quite nice. Yeah, it's wine. It's like water, but with extra taste. It's quite nice. Do you have any more of this wine? Yes. And he brought out a second big barrel. And the cyclops. That's really quite good, you know. I really like this wine. It's really good, this wine. By the way, what is your name? At this point, Odysseus didn't want to tell his name. So he thought of a false name. He thought, I know what, I'll call myself Juan. He went, no, Juan. And the cyclops went, no, Juan, get me some more wine. Okay. He went and got another barrel of wine. The cyclops said, this is great, this stuff. Oh! And he fell to the floor, drunk. Now, Odysseus said, get the stick. What can we do with the stick? Grab the stick. So all of his men grabbed the big stick. He said, hold it like this. And they all lined up, held it. And he said, run at the cyclops. And they ran straight at the cyclops. And just at the last minute, Odysseus pulled the end of the stick down. Bang! The stick hit the cyclops right in the eye. Whoa! When the cyclops, what was that? What was that? I'm blind! I've got a headache! What you've done to me? You've poisoned me! You've blinded me! I can't see! What do I do? I'm going to eat all of you now! And the cyclops started to go back through the cave, grabbing at things. But every time he grabbed at something, It was a sheep. Meh, no, meh, no, meh, no. Odysseus' men were hiding against the walls. When the Cyclops came near them, they sent a sheep to him. Meh, no, there, no. Said the Cyclops, I'll get rid of the sheep. So the Cyclops went to the door and he moved the enormous stone away from the door. And he stood with his legs apart and he said, sheep out. And one by one, the sheep ran out between the Cyclops' legs. And Odysseus said to his men, watch me, watch what I do. And he ran along beside a sheep, and then he fell to the floor, and he grabbed the underneath of the sheep, and the sheep dragged him out the door, under the Cyclops' legs. And the Cyclops was feeling the top of the sheep, and of course he couldn't feel Odysseus. Odysseus was stood outside the cave, going to his men. So his men were doing the same. They were running alongside the sheep, and then grabbing the sheep and going underneath the Cyclops and escaping. Eventually, when all of Odysseus' men were out, they ran away back to the ship. But the Cyclops hadn't finished. As the last sheep went out, he closed the gate, the cave again, turned and went backwards through the cave, looking for the men and for Odysseus. And he found none of them. They must have escaped. He ran, he opened the cave, ran out. Where are you? Where are you? At this moment, the other people who lived on the island came running up and said, what's wrong? He said, I'm blind. I'm blind. Somebody made me blind. Who? They asked. No one. No one made you blind? Yes. No one made me blind. No one? Yes. No one. Have you been drinking? Yes. You did it yourself. And they all left, leaving the Cyclops. Odysseus and his men sailed away. However, they didn't get home because the Cyclops' father was Neptune, and Neptune decided to make Odysseus' life really bad. But that's another story. Thank you.